In 2006, two 16-year-old students named Brian Lee Draper and Tori Adam Kick devised a plan to murder one of their friends, Cassie Jo Stoddard. She invited them over to her aunt and uncle's house to watch a movie on September 22nd of that year. After pretending to leave, the two teens donned masks and rushed back into the house and stabbed Cassie multiple times until she died. Her body was discovered a few days later by her 13-year-old cousin. When the two teens were apprehended for the crime, it was discovered that they had videotaped the plans for the attack, then travelling to the house, and then them leaving the murder scene. They tried to say it was the first scenes of a horror movie they were making, but everybody saw through their facade. They were sentenced to life in prison and are currently serving that time at Idaho State Correctional Institution.
There should be no law against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
We found our victim, and sad as it may be, she's our friend. But you know what? We all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is going to be Cassie Stoddard. She's going to be alone in a big, dark house out in the middle of nowhere. How perfect can you get? I mean, like, holy shit, dude.
I'm horny just thinking about it.
Hell yeah. It was 9:50, September 22nd, 2006. We know there's lots of doors. There's lots of places to hide. I locked the back doors, so it's all locked. Now we just gotta wait. I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a fucking joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat, and I saw her lifeless body just disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. Oh, fuck. That felt like fucking real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Shut the fuck up. We gotta get our act straight.
Okay.
Leonard Lake and Charles Ng were two serial killers. Between the years of 1983 and 1985, it is alleged that they killed between 11 and 25 people. They killed the men and children immediately, but kept the women alive in Leonard's cabin of horrors, torturing and sexually assaulting them until they killed them. While they were committing their crimes, they videotaped everything from their victims' torture to Leonard's reasoning for their heinous acts.
Good evening. It's a Sunday in October 22nd, 23rd, something like that. Very close to my 38th birthday. And I'm starting this tape without script or without any real organization of what I want to say. But I do feel I need to explain. This tape, what you're hearing now, is going to be the lead-in of the various phases of construction of a building, which hopefully will be the first of a series of underground buildings. The building will be multi-purpose. It'll serve as a tool room and a storage room for a lot of valuables and miscellaneous stuff that are useful to have, but not particularly items of immediate use that should be in the house. But the main emphasis of the building, the whole justification for its expense and its effort, will be a hidden portion of it, a secret room, if we can call it that, that will house a cell. This is the word that I've used in my discussions of this subject. A jail cell, if you will. And the purpose of that cell, and the main purpose hence of the building, will be the imprisonment of a young lady who probably at this moment is unknown to me. And nothing more. Well, actually I shouldn't say nothing more. The building, even the cell, will be multi-purpose. These are very trying times. There are wars and rumors of wars going on. Today 135 Marines were killed in Lebanon. So having secret rooms, underground rooms, protected by concrete and steel and buried by 4 feet of earth, these are fairly safe investments, and the room and the building and the whole ultimate series of buildings will be designed not around the cell, but ultimately around the concept of a secret, secure living place for myself and perhaps for friends. But this first phase, it would be a lie to say it was anything other than primarily emphasizing the cell. History may be bored. Posterity may care less about this tape, care less about what I have to say. To be honest, I'm not too sure who I want to show this tape to, or if I will ever show it to anyone. But for anyone that is interested, anyone who needs my justifications or my rationalizations as to why I would want to imprison and in fact enslave a young woman, they have only to look closely at me. I'm a realist. I'm 38 years old, a bit chubby, not much hair, and losing what I have. Not particularly attracted to women, or I should say, particularly attracting to women. And all of the traditional magnets, the money, the position / power, I don't have. And yet, I'm still very sexually active, and I'm still very much attracted to a particular type of woman who, almost by definition, is totally uninterested in me. Dirty old man, pervert. I'm attracted to young women. Sometimes even as young as 12. Although, to be fair, certainly 18 to 22 is a pretty much ideal range as far as my interests go. I like very slim women, very pretty, of course, petite, small-breasted, long hair, if I'm allowed, and such a woman, by virtue of her youth, her attractiveness, her desirability to certainly the majority of mankind, simply has options. There's no particular reason why such a woman should be interested in me. But there's more to it than that. It's difficult to explain my personality in 25 words or less, but I am in fact a loner. I enjoy the peace, the quiet, the solitude. I enjoy being by myself. And while my relationships with women in the past have been sexually successful, socially they've almost always been a failure. I've gone through 2 divorces, innumerable women, 50, 55, I forget exactly the count. I counted recently, but I'm afraid a bottom line statement is the simple fact that I'm a sexist slob. I enjoy using women, and of course women aren't particularly interested in being used. I certainly enjoy sex. I certainly enjoy the dominance of climbing on a woman and using her body. But I'm not particularly interested in the id, the ego, all the things that a man should be interested in to complement a woman's need. Now I can fake these emotions, and I can fake them very well. And in the past I've been very successful with attracting fairly interesting and attractive women simply because I did fake fairly well an interest in their needs and their requirements. So momentarily I had what I wanted and they thought they had what they wanted. But in the long term, I don't want to bother. What I want is an off-the-shelf sex partner. I want to be able to use a woman whenever and however I want. And when I'm tired or satiated or bored or not interested, I simply want to put her away, lock her up in a little room, get her out of my sight, out of my life, and thus avoid what heretofore has always been the obligation to entertain or amuse or satisfy a particular woman or girlfriend's whims of emotional whatevers. Such an arrangement, of course, is not only blatantly sexist, but highly illegal, there's no doubt about it. It violates all of the human rights and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to spare posterity my concepts of other people's morality. I'm explaining my morality, what I feel, what I want. And as of this moment, I'm going to try to get it. The advantages of such a situation are, of course, obvious, and even beyond sexual. Such a woman, totally enslaved, would be useful for the mundane chores that I have to do, but I'm not particularly interested in doing. Clean house, washing dishes, etc. Slave, there's no way around it. Primarily a sexual slave, but nonetheless a physical slave as well. And I believe that if I can construct a holding cell, a place where I can put such a woman, where I can walk off and feel secure that she can't escape, that I can create a facility that is so stark and so empty, so cold, so quiet, so totally removed from the world, that fairly quickly, by a combination of painful punishments when I'm displeased and minor rewards such as music or magazines or some such stuff, that I can quickly condition, this is my belief, that I can quickly condition a young woman to cooperate with me fully, and in fact even look forward to cooperating with me fully, simply if for no other reason than such cooperation would be a relief from boredom. Whether I can do this or not will remain to be seen. Obviously, I've never done such a thing before, and it may not work. However, I want to try. try. The cost of this enterprise is going to be immense. We're talking about $5,000, thousands of dollars for foundations, $2,000 for bricks, hundreds of dollars for, power equipment to dig the earth out. Many, many costs. Still, life as I'm living it is boring. The challenge of this project, the excitement, the thrill if it succeeds, even the exciting experience if it fails, as long as I don't get caught. It's very attractive. It's something that I fantasize daily about. We'll see. I don't think there's more to say on the subject. This hopefully will be a history. Starting tomorrow, I start clearing the land. I've hired a man with a chainsaw to come over and cut some trees. And tomorrow evening a backhoe will arrive and I'll start excavating the earth. It'll be interesting to see how far this tape can I actually go. The next step, of course, is to bring in the backhoe and to do the crude digging. I'm taking this opportunity to set up the camera outside of the building and show the area. Of course, what we're looking at now is where the building's going to be. In a bit, we'll focus in a little bit on the exact spot, take a look at some of the trees that had to come down to make way for the actual digging. Some of these tree stumps are going to be a bitch to get out. Of course, the trees provided firewood, quite a bit of firewood actually. But basically what's going on now is I'm just using the camera to pan around, show the general area, get some idea of the countryside. This is also the first time I've used the camera outdoors. I'm looking at the road that the backhoe will have to come up, basically playing with the zoom function and the focus. Recording something like this as an ongoing event is of course something very new to me. This is the first time I've ever done this with the video camera, and the first time I've used the camera outdoors. And now, enter the backhoe, a Case 480. Even with a Case 480, one has to shift gears to get up the hill. I'm not going to take the time with the tape to show each bite of the shovel and the likes of that. Besides, right now I've got the advantage of having a couple of helpers operate the camera, whereas very soon I won't. But this is the start, and that's the 24-inch blade that's going to do the job. In a moment, we'll show you what it did.
So, here it is. Backhoe worked for 24 hours. Myself and two young men with our little picks and shovels and wheelbarrows worked for another 3 or 4 days cleaning up after the backhoe. And what has resulted is a earth about 21 feet across and 18, 19 feet back. And the trenches you see on the ground are the trenches that are going to hold the concrete footing for the building. Little dog chasing a butterfly. It's one hell of a lot of work. And of course it's not over. Let me scan the countryside while I'm here. This little piece of monstrosity was one of the tree stumps that came out of the hole over there. It took me an hour and a half with the backhoe to get that thing out. Over here you see where we've dumped some of the dirt. Well, that's enough for now. The next scene you see will probably be the concrete trucks pouring the concrete in the footing. And then we start to build. I can hardly wait.
Things went awry for them when Charles robbed a hardware store and Leonard rushed to pay for the stolen items. By the time he got there, the police had showed up. They noticed that he owned the license of a man he had killed, Robin Stapley. While in custody, Leonard swallowed 2 cyanide pills that he had sewn into his clothes, which led to his death on June 6, 1985. Charles is still alive today and is currently awaiting death. The Dnipropetrovsk maniacs are serial killers from Russia. They killed 22 people between June and July of 2007. They took great pleasure in not only killing their victims, but filming the torture as well. One of their videos, 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, is notorious for being one of the most shocking and disturbing videos in history. The video was about the slaughter of 48-year-old Sergei Yatsenko, who went missing after riding his motorcycle. His battered body was found 4 days after his death. The killers were pinned to the crime and multiple other murders and were apprehended, where they are currently serving life sentences. In February 1994, Fred West and his wife Rose were arrested, charged with 12 murders. Fred worked as a builder in Gloucestershire and he met Rose in 1969. 2 years later, Rose killed her and Fred's stepdaughter Charmaine. Instead of going to the police, Fred was okay with it and he killed Charmaine's mother after she went to check on her. Another one of the duo's victims would end up being their own daughter, 16-year-old Heather West. She had been abused by the pair all her life and even told some of her friends about it. until she was kicked in the head numerous times until she was dead. Her body was then dismembered and buried underneath their house at 25 Cromwell Street. While in custody, Fred conducted an audio interview and described the murders as enjoyment turned to disaster.
Yeah, see, you even got the killing wrong. You're trying to make out I just went out and blatantly killed somebody. No, nobody went through hell. Enjoyment turned to disaster. That's what happened on all of it, or most of it anyway.
Well, Rose rang me at work in the middle of the day, and said the police were digging the garden up. Come home quick. So anyway, I got home. Anyway, Hazel Savage come, and I went down to the police station. I mean, I had nothing to bloody hide. When I walked in here and I sat down there, I could feel my head like lifting up, and I was going sort of into space. And I could see diggers and everything all ploughing round and ripping the house up, tearing the floorboards up and bulldozing the house down. It was all weird, and I could see it all in my mind, and everything was gone wrong. I mean, I don't know what. I can't. I've been trying to explain the feeling, what happened. You know, I don't know if it was a pill or something. That's the only thing I can think it was. I'd done nothing else. You know what? I looked straight across and I could see her. I think she's in a plastic bag. I think you could actually see it in the corner. So there's a big hollow in behind it. If you look underneath the step, you can see straight underneath. There's a big hole. I mean, I can undo 3/4 nuts without a spanner when we just lock them on and turn them on and undo them. I mean, I've been squeezed out of screws in the neck. I mean, I was before the day, and I mean, I haven't gone that quick. I mean, it's surprising how long somebody can hold you in the neck before you really have to do something like that. I looked around everywhere, try and find a knife or something. I mean, I looked at the axe. I had a chopped axe, and there's no way I could touch her with it. Not that case or with anything like that. I just couldn't do it. So I looked up and I see this knife sticking out. It got like 2 prongs on the end, 2 sharp points comes out on the end of him, and then it got big serrated edges all along it. You saw blocks of ice with. And I got that, and I tried it with the big ones first, and it was terrible, man. I'm sweating, I'm just about everything's going on this time. So I finally managed to do it, to take her head off, and then her legs, and it was unbearable. And I mean, I can hear that now in my sleep. I wake up very often screaming when I can hear that go in. That's easy, eh? She's looking at me, I thought, at some point, somebody sat there looking at you, you're not going to use a knife on a person, are you? I just went like that, and I closed your eyes and you stayed shut. That was that. I mean, where's this going to end? And by this time I am realising that is 3. 2. Sorry, that's 2, not 3. That was surely where is this going to stop? I have got to stop. I've got to give myself up. I've got to tell Rose so she can get somebody to help me sort that I don't do this thing again. Because the problem I've got, and I know it's a problem, and I knew I should have got out with it. Now, wait a minute, yeah, this is where we got hell of a problem. We've got to get it all out, sort it out. Yeah. Because I have mixed it up deliberately for the police. She said, I said, well, there's a piss hole out there, what are you worried about? And then she said, oh yeah, there is. And I can remember taking a breath and swallowing it. And I said, what the flaming hell do you mean? She said, Heather's out there. Well, I mean, I just fucking died for a minute. I sit down, I got a fag and I was trying to light it, and God knows what. So I said, what do you mean Heather's out there? She said, yeah, Heather's buried out there. So I said, where? She said, at the end of the fence, where the fence used to go across. And I said, right, fucking hell. It seemed as though my whole life stopped there, finished. you know, and I couldn't think of nothing. I mean, Heather, I thought a bloody world of Heather. So anyway, I got to grips with it after a while. And the first thing that came into my mind was, I'm going to have to take this and sort it out. Which I did. All the messes Rose got herself into, I took the fucking rap for him and helped him out of it. So anyway, I said, look, you'll have to tell me exactly what happened. She said that Heather was cut up. Well, I never felt so ill in all my life for a few seconds, a few minutes before I could get a grip of myself again. And I said, what on earth did you cut her up for? She said she wouldn't fit in a dustbin. Now the thing that makes it hard, that she cut Heather up and chucked her in a fucking dustbin. Her daughter in a dustbin. She said, what about Linda Golf? I said, you bitch. Because I'd already, whenever she said that, I realised that I thought, fuck me, she'd killed her and had her fucking clothes on. She's wearing the girl's shoes and she'd killed her, for fuck's sake. And her dressing gown. I mean, how fucking far can you go? You know, I said, you wore her fucking clothes after you killed her. She said, I washed it. I said, fucking hell, what are you? I am working out what I'm going to tell the police, how I'm going to handle it. Right? One body, fully clothed, or I thought at the first place, but no, by now I know it's cut up, so I'd have to think out why the bloody hell did I cut her up? I mean, what reason for that did I cut this girl up? That's why I said, well, at least it's only one. I said, so, you know, I mean, you could accidentally kill one, but I mean, you wouldn't get away with accidentally killing two, like, sort of thing. That's the thought that was going through my mind, like. So I said, well, is that it? Oh no, she said, oh, I don't know, there's 7 or 8, 9, something like that. You know. So anyway, Rose told me where the ones in the basement was. I said to Rose, I said, well, fuck me, they hadn't done bad, have it? I said, that's fucking, you know, I've got a fucking enough here on you.
On January 1st, 1995, Frederick West was found hanging in his prison cell. He was 53 years old and had been in custody for nearly a year. His wife is still alive and is serving her life sentence today.
Now, the news with Peter Sissons.
Frederick West, charged with 12 murders, has been found dead in his prison cell. The Gloucester builder was found hanging by prison staff. An inquiry has begun. Good evening. Frederick West, the Gloucester builder whose home concealed 9 corpses, has been found dead, hanging in his prison cell at Winson Green Jail in Birmingham. He'd been in custody for nearly a year, accused of a total of 12 murders, and committal proceedings were due to start next month. His wife, who's charged with 9 murders, was told of his death this afternoon.
Fred West was last brought to court in Gloucester in mid-December. He was due to reappear on January the 10th, and then again at formal committal proceedings in early February. This lunchtime at Winson Green Prison, prison officers found him hanging in his cell, according to prison service sources, from clothing fixed above the door. Attempts were made to resuscitate the man accused of the Cromwell Street murders, but a doctor certified him dead shortly before 1:30. The death of the 53-year-old builder is being investigated by West Midlands Police with assistance from the Gloucestershire Constabulary.
Do you understand it to be a suicide?
Well, we're looking into a death, and I think suffice to say at this stage that we have to keep all options open, although that may well be the case at the end of the day.
Rosemary West, Fred West's wife, who's accused of 9 of the murders, was told of her husband's death by her solicitor, Leo Goatley. He visited her at the women's wing of Pucklechurch Prison near Bristol. This evening, one of Fred West's brothers said he was very shocked by the news.
He was my brother, and I used to always remember him as he was, and that's it.
From some in Cromwell Street itself, though, there's little sympathy.
I'm glad. Very glad.
The arrest of Fred West triggered one of the biggest police investigations in modern times. West was detained in late February last year with his wife by police investigating the disappearance of their 16-year-old daughter Heather, who was last seen alive in 1987. Shortly afterwards, police using digging equipment found Heather's remains in the back garden of number 25 Cromwell Street, Gloucester, an address that was to become known as the House of Horror. Within days, the remains of 2 more bodies had been found in the garden. More grim discoveries followed. Other remains were discovered hidden in the cellar and bathroom areas. In all, 9 sets were found at the address. The digging then switched to other locations, including fields near the village of Muchmarkle. The remains of 3 more bodies were found, including those of Catherine Costello, Fred West's first wife. Inevitably, questions are being asked about how the death of such a high-profile prisoner could occur. West, who's said to have been unpopular with other inmates, wasn't segregated, but the prison service says he did receive regular checks. Opposition parties are attacking the Home Secretary over another prison security lapse. The police are telling the media to do nothing that could damage Rosemary West's chances of a fair trial.
I recognise the reporting of the death of Mr. West is a matter of public interest. But the same public interest demands responsible reporting by the media to ensure that the trial of Mrs. West is not prejudiced in any way.
A post-mortem on West is being held tonight. It's not clear if he was a suicide risk. Indeed, when he appeared in court, he seemed relaxed. But now the man at the centre of a murder case that made headlines around the world is himself dead. Clarence Mitchell, BBC News.
And our legal correspondent Joshua Rosenberg joins me now. Joshua, when a prisoner's being held on so many serious charges, would his suicide be counted a serious failure by his jailers?
Well, certainly the death of any prisoner in prison custody is a failure and a very serious matter. It's not clear, as you say, how much of a risk he was thought to be, but short of keeping somebody under 24-hour guard, or perhaps, I suppose, issuing him with paper clothing, there's not a great deal that you can do if a man is determined to kill himself, as perhaps appears to be the case.
Now, can the trials of Frederick West, who's dead, and his wife, who will stand trial, can they be disentangled? Will he himself now, in effect, stand trial posthumously?
Well, we won't now have a trial involving the 3 murders that he was charged with alone, his first wife, his first daughter and the children's nanny. But Mrs. West stands to face the charges that she did, the 9 murders that she was charged jointly, and as we've heard, they should go ahead. Now, obviously, the jury will be very interested in what the Crown's case would have been against Frederick West, but the prosecution will have to prove, if the magistrate decides there's a case to answer, the charges against her in her own right if they're to get the convictions that they seek.
Joshua Rosenberg, thank you very much.